Oh, hello. Welcome once again to Stuff and Things, where I like to talk about stuff and occasionally even things. I'm your good friend Bradley, and today is a very pleasant Sunday Stuff and Things. And on this pleasant Sunday Stuff and Things, we have stuff and things to talk about, including upcoming videos, things that you can look forward to on Stuff and Things and Stuff and Things Plays. We are going to talk about my superpower. Someone asked me the question, what is my superpower? Maybe I have one, we'll see. And then I have a very exciting box from a very generous viewer that I'm going to open, and I'm pretty excited about this. I have been anticipating what's inside, and I have not opened it. I have held myself back for over a week since I got it from my P.O. box. So we'll also get to your questions, comments, and feedback in hashtag askstuffandthings. We have a lot to do, so let's get going. All right, upcoming videos. What can you look forward to on Stuff and Things and Stuff and Things Plays? Well, this week we have the first in our Timeless Style series, and that episode will be on the Baracuta G9 Harrington jacket. Talked about this, I think last week, mentioned that I wanted to start this series. It's gonna take a while for me to figure out exactly the directions I want to go. I don't have all the items that I would like to explore in this series yet as well, but I have a good handle on some things. I've got the Baracuta Harrington jacket, I've got a classic pea coat, I've got different, I think, kind of iconic sunglasses, some different shoes and stuff. So we're gonna get into some of these things. We'll intersperse these videos every once in a while on the channel. But the first one is the Baracuta G9 Harrington jacket, made in England. Probably my favorite jacket of all time. And that video will be posting this Wednesday. And then of course, on Stuff and Things Plays, the Elden Ring series continues with our good friend Kevin the Kurt. All right, so I got a question that I thought was kind of interesting, and I thought it would be fun if I heard from you guys out there as well. The question was from Davey via YouTube, and Davey says, Bradley, love the show. Do you think you have a superpower? If so, what would it be? And I had to think about this for a little bit, and I decided that I had to make some rules. A superpower, in my opinion, obviously this is all nonsense, but to play along, a superpower would be something that you didn't develop as a skill. It couldn't be something that you practiced over and over until you got really good at it. So if someone were an amazing concert pianist, I wouldn't consider that a superpower. It has to be something innate, something that you were born with. And I could actually think of not one, but two things that would be my superpower. Number one, I can get bitten by mosquitoes and nothing happens. I don't get an itchy bump. I don't have any sort of reaction whatsoever. Now, I also don't get bitten by mosquitoes very often, so whatever pheromone or whatever they're sensing in the air that causes them to bite some people more often than others, I don't have that thing. So if I'm at a place, with my older brother a lot, we work together, and there'll be a job site where there are just mosquitoes everywhere. By the end of the day, he will be covered in gigantic itchy bumps, and I will have not a one. And it's not just that they're not biting me though, because I have personally witnessed a mosquito shove their little proboscis into my arm and suck my blood and then fly away, and I don't get a single bump, not any sort of reaction whatsoever. So whatever that anticoagulant is that they inject into you that most people have a histamine reaction to, I do not have that histamine reaction. And in general, like, bug bites don't do much. A bee sting, you'll barely notice. I mean, it'll hurt at the time, but I don't get a big bump. Flea bites don't do much. Not that I get bitten by fleas all that often anymore, but when I was a little kid and we had animals all over, I used to get flea bites and they didn't really do much. So whatever's going on there, my body just doesn't react to bug bites. Superpower number one. Number two, it's kind of gross, but I don't smell. Now, bear with me here. Lately, I've been sweating a lot more because I started taking creatine and protein shakes, and apparently that will cause you to sweat more readily. And I never was a huge sweater, but now it seems as though I'm sweating a lot when I'm outside and it's hot and I'm exerting myself. I used to get like a little sheen, but now I am actually just pouring sweat. And it doesn't really matter though, because at the end of the day, even after completely soaking my clothing, even my underwear and my denim jeans being completely soaked with sweat, there is nary a foul odor. In fact, I've even tested this theory. I took off my socks. I peeled them off at the end of the day. They were soaking wet, and I've been wearing them for over 9 hours. They were stuffed into rubber boots, 90-degree day, exerting myself greatly. Gave them to my fiance and said, "Do these smell?" And she said, "No, they don't." My shirts, all my clothing, so that's superpower number 2. I'm not smelly. What are your superpowers? I would love to hear in the comments below if you have anything, like I said, not a skill that you've developed, but something that's just innate, a superpower. Let me know in the comments below. All right, gang, but now the part that I've been looking forward to very much. This is a package from our good friend, Chad Curtis. Now, Chad, I am so sorry that it took me so long to get this package out of my P.O. box. I know that we had some correspondence. You let me know that this package was coming, and it totally flew my mind. And typically I'll go to my P.O. box, once a month unless somebody tells me that something is there. You did tell me that something was going to be there, and it completely flew my mind. And so I didn't notice this until last weekend. I picked it up, but here it is. It is a package from Chad Curtis in, is that Rhode Island? Chad Curtis from Rhode Island. Thank you so much. I'm gonna slice this thing open and see what's in here. We have our Bark River ultralight bushcrafter on the hip here, and I'm gonna use it to cut this baby open. All right, let's see what's inside. It looks like there is a note. From Chad. Hello there, Bradley. As you may know, I have been a subscriber for about 7 years. I do remember you, Chad, being around for a long time, and have truly enjoyed all of the great content over the years. I can't tell you how many evenings I have sat essing on the patio, he actually put essing, and watching Stuff and Things. It seems as though you are a great old friend at this point. Thank you, Chad. That means a lot. I do miss the good old days when you were able to answer every YouTube comment, but I appreciate that you have gained enough notoriety to make this difficult, and that is a good thing. I still read them all, but yeah, I can't answer every single one. Quick backstory. About 2016, listening to the Old Timers' comments on Pipes Magazine forum discussing building a good tea cellar before the new FDA regulations start and we lose some of those great blends. After McClellan folded and the Dunhill scare, I collected as much as I could to cellar. I really hope you enjoy these offerings, and although I also consider many of these Syrian Latakia blends, to be cooler weather blends, winter is coming. I added a vapor and a delicious vapor. Oh, and he has a list here, actually. I'm not gonna read all these out yet because it'll be fun to pull them out. Maybe you could add the Wellars straight Latakia to your Latakia video for comparison if this doesn't arrive too late. Although I understand it might not be relevant, attainable for most pipe essers ever again. Thanks again for everything you have done for the YTPC, and enjoy, Chad Curtis. Thank you so much, Chad. That is super generous. And again, I apologize for getting to this box so late. But here we go. We have a box full of goodies. Let's see what's inside. Bubble wrap. I'll save that for later. Ooh, wow, okay. Already, I'm seeing some interesting things in here. But first off, we have our Best Blend by Esser's Haven. I don't know if the lighting will be good enough. I have this different setup where I'm standing up now because I was doing the video for the Baracuta Harrington jacket. But interesting, our Best Blend. Let's see, I'm gonna cross-reference it here. I actually don't see it on the list. Okay. We also have, it's one I'm more familiar with. This is Beacon by McClellan. So you're not able to get this anymore, so that's very cool. McClellan Beacon. Cool. We have a jar. This might be the straight Latakia that he was talking about. Let's take a look. Yes, no, this is McFadin HH Vintage Syrian, jarred up in June of 2018, it looks like. Very nice. I'm not gonna pop this open yet, but this would be a really fun video to do, to have some aged vintage Syrian. It's been a while since I have had the McFadin Vintage Syrian. Very cool. Then we have exotique mixture. Exotique mixture by Smoker's Haven as well. Very cool. We have, looks like a tiny little mason jar or canning jar. Aha, this is the Syrian Latakia. So this is straight Syrian Latakia from a jar sealed since April of 2018. So that is very cool. I'm really tempted to pop this open and take a whiff. But maybe since we have done the video where I did straight Cyprian Latakia, maybe we can do one for straight Syrian. Obviously, it's not going to be super helpful because people can't get it anymore, but it might be just fun for science. Straight Syrian. Very cool. And then, Lord above, I'm going to save that. Save that. Ooh, this one is very fancy as well. We have some Samuel Gawith, the Kendall Mayers collection, St. James Flake. I've had this before and quite enjoyed it. So very, very cool. Thank you, Chad. And then, last but not least, the pièce de résistance. Let me open these first and show you what they are. Pretty spectacular, actually. We have a fresh, unopened tin of Esoterica Penzance. That's pretty crazy. Thank you so much for that. I'm trying to see the date on here. This is February of 2018. So it's been aging for a while already. One of those mythical blends that people really have a hard time getting their hands on. I've reviewed it on the channel, liked it a lot. I still have some jarred up, but not a ton. So it's really cool to have an unopened tin like that. Thank you, Chad. And then, ooh, this one is one of my favorites as well, and one that I don't get to have very often. It is Esoterica Tobaciana Stonehaven. Lovely blend. I think I reviewed this. I've had it. Did I review it? You guys can answer me probably better than I can. I think I have reviewed this on the channel as well. So I could almost do a revisited for these. Again, people get annoyed when I do anything with the Esoterica blends because they say, we can't get those. Why even bother? But I like them, and they're cool, and they get people excited. So, Chad, that was so cool. Thank you so much for these blends. That was just insanely generous. And for the last time, I am sorry that it took me so long to get to these, but that's going to provide a lot of content on the channel, so thank you very much. But now, gang, it is time for hashtag #AskStuffandThings. Remember, if you have a question for me and you would like it answered on the Sunday Stuff and Things, tweet at SATBradley with the hashtag #AskStuffandThings, and I will do my best to answer you on the next Sunday Stuff and Things. You can also write to me via Patreon. If you are a Patreon supporter, you go to the front of the line, and you can leave comments on YouTube videos with your questions and feedback. But first, we have a question. No, we have feedback via YouTube. This is from Matthew Long, and this is feedback for last week's Sunday Stuff and Things. Matthew says, "Hi Bradley. Thanks for sharing your thoughts on the matter. It's such a shame that YouTube is slowly making things more difficult to monetize any pipe-essing content these days." Talking about me censoring that thing. It was supposed to be funny. Some people took it weird, like they got irritated. I just thought it was weird and funny to have a giant head, my giant head, blocking out when I was lighting a pea. I like the idea of putting a visually humorous twist on this part of the pea-essing process, especially if it stops the video from being age-restricted. Looking forward to the timeless style menswear series and love seeing the exploits of Kevin on SATP. Take care. Thank you, Matthew. Next, from from T. Elwood Rockefeller. I don't know where I got doctor from. I don't have a problem with YouTube censoring and demonetizing videos, so YouTube didn't censor it. I censored it, to be funny. In and of itself. If there were clear guidelines and everything was up front, that'd be fine, but it's an arbitrary and covert standard, and they don't seem to be interested in trying to improve that. And that is very true. And that's the thing that's annoying, is just trying to tease out why a certain video gets age restricted. They don't really tell you. They don't really tell you. Next, from Nightmare Man 1. But shouldn't your videos be age restricted if they're dealing with essing? No. I don't think they should. And this is a weird thing that comes up sometimes. YouTube already has a standard where if you're making content for children, you have to mark on it that you're making content from children. If you're not making content for children, you mark that this is not made for children, and it's understood that it's for adults. The age age restriction process on YouTube means that they hardly show it to anybody. They won't show it to anyone who is not signed in and verified as being over 18. They don't recommend the video very often. So it's not that you're just preventing children from seeing it. You're preventing almost everyone from seeing it. And the other thing about this is there's this weird thing with tea in our society now where I could have a video on YouTube where I am drinking alcohol, just offhandedly drinking alcohol. That would not be age restricted. But for some reason, tea and tea products are. It's not illegal to see somebody smoking a pipe. It's illegal for someone under 18 to actually purchase tea and use it. But it's strange how we've conflated the two things, like, oh, you can't even see somebody with a pipe. That's somehow beyond the pale. It's very strange. So no, it's not illegal for someone who happens to be 17 to browse through YouTube and see me with a pipe. I don't think that's going to kill anybody. I don't think it's going to cause any harm. And you're not marketing it to children or anything like that. It's just an informational video that people can search out if they want to watch it. It's illegal for someone under 18 to buy it, not to see it. It's kind of strange. Next, from Josh Stivers. Man, sucks to hear that YouTube is making it harder for you to do your thing. I've heard the same from other channels I follow, so it's definitely getting harder for a lot of content creators, unfortunately. I guess look at it like a challenge in finding creative ways to sidestep. LOL. Yeah, Josh, and it's not a huge deal. The whole thing with the censoring thing, again, it's just fun. In some ways, you know, I mentioned before that I was just editing out me actually lighting my pee. God, that sounds horrible. In the other videos, and then I decided for fun to put a giant head over it to see if that worked as well on YouTube. Some people took it so weirdly as though the injustice of it or that it was irreverent, they didn't like that. Like, I don't know, it's totally fine. Don't worry about it. Next, from Vintage Pipes Nightmares. He is not a real pipe-esser. He is just a hipster. He doesn't know how to pack or light a pipe. That's why he is hiding the pipe lighting part. I had to address this. And in several videos in the past, people have accused me of being a hipster. And I've always denied it. But recent information has come to light, and I thought I should show it to you now. So I got some updated results from the DNA test I took several years back. Ancestry constantly updates the results as they get more information, as the technology improves. And I saw something kind of shocking when I was looking at my results recently. You can see here, everything looks normal, you know, Northern Europe, Scandinavia, and then 16% hipster. It's right there on my DNA results. 16% hipster. So I did some more research. I started looking back into my ancestors. I poked and I prodded and I pried, and I found this. This is a picture of my great-great-grandfather on my father's side. Clearly a hipster. So I guess you could say it's in my blood, it's in my DNA. I'm doing my best not to manifest these tendencies, but I mean, I guess some of you are right. It says it right there in black and white, 16% hipster. I'm just gonna have to live with it. And so are you. Next, we have a question, or is this feedback, from Lorenzo Natalie. They say, oh, this is the feedback for, no, wait a minute, what is going on here? Yes, feedback for Hogshead Review. Lorenzo says, it's so interesting to hear your take on it. Like Silas, the reason you didn't care for it were the reasons I loved it. I usually S Virginias in a dedicated no-name estate briar and really enjoyed the flavors. I'm a new pipe-esser, though so my palate isn't as refined yet, LOL. Thanks for the feedback there. And that's one of the things that I enjoy about the whole format of the Pipe Blend review is that I'm trying to tell you the flavors I am detecting, and just because I don't like it doesn't mean you won't. And if you notice that what I'm describing sounds like something you may enjoy, then by all means, check it out. Next, from Wade Hampton, Bradley. You need to dry this blend out until it feels a bit too dry. Hearth and Home Fusilier's ration is the same way. They need to be thoroughly dry but not crispy in order to get the best results for them. If it's gooping up on you, it's too wet and needs to be dried out a lot more. Play around with it, and the experience will become way better. I abhor goopiness in my bowl, but it can usually be eliminated with some additional dry time. Thank you for the honest review. I really appreciate your reviews, and I do think that you will take this one better if you dry it out a bit more. Thanks, Wade. And generally you're right, but in this particular instance, if I say that a blend is gloopy, I will have dried the blend several different times to several different extents before I say that it's gloopy. So with Hogshead, I definitely tried drying it out. I tried drying it out for 30 minutes, sometimes for 45 minutes. I did one bowl where I dried it out till it was just crispy. And it still just mechanically did not agree with me at all. And it still ended up kind of congealed and gloopy at the end of the bowl. So the more I had that blend, the more irritated I got with it and just the way it behaved. But thank you for the feedback, Wade. And finally from David Miller, is it really a plug? Whole leaf in parentheses. It looks like a pressed ribbon cut from this vantage point, like a really dense crumble cake. I don't buy much anymore. It's gotta be something I'm really excited about, and this one just didn't seem exciting to me. I already have my favorite straight Virginias on hand. I like that we are still seeing new blends hit the market though. I hope we continue to see more for many years to come. Thank you for the feedback, David. And there were some people who very rudely started pointing out that you are a fool. This isn't a plug, this is a cake. And David wasn't being rude, but all I can say to that is that if I have to cut it with a knife, I'm probably going to call it a plug, and that SPC calls it a plug as well. So it's kind of a gray area. If you only think that a whole leaf plug is actually considered a plug, then I guess that you wouldn't consider Hogshead a plug. I'm not as strict that way. I think if something is super dense and I need to cut it, and the manufacturer calls it a plug, I will call it a plug. If it is something that I can pull apart and rub out, I will call that a crumble cake. If it is something like Spark Plug by GLPs, that's a whole leaf plug and you gotta cut it, that's definitely a plug, but a whole leaf plug. So you can have a whole leaf plug, you can have a press plug. They're different things. Sometimes people seem to get super persnickety about definitions as though there is this inviolate truth that we all must follow as far as the pipe hobby goes. And I think a lot of that has to do with YouTube and the fact that people can now get on YouTube like me and act as though they're experts and make pronouncements. Everyone just take it easy. It's fine. If you don't consider it a plug, you don't have to call it a plug. And I guess if SPC calls it a plug, you don't have to call it a plug either, but I called it a plug and that's okay. I still think of it as a plug. You don't have to. All right, gang, thank you so much for the feedback. Please keep it coming. I really appreciate it. It really helps make the show go. But now, before I melt, because it's very hot in here, it is time for the very best part of the show, and that is where we thank our Patreon supporters. If you would like to support the channels on Patreon, there is a link in the description box below, and it is super appreciated. It helps pay for the fancy camera that is filming this video, the lights that are shining upon me and making me sweat. It's really helpful. If you don't want to support the channels on Patreon, there is also the super thanks button down below this video as well that you can click, or just watch the videos, comment, subscribe, all that stuff is super helpful. But every week we shout out those who support the channels at $25 or more. People like Kirk Crompton, Private Eye, Glenn, Jason Buckner, Gloria Phillips, MDoftheNorth, David Gaudreau, Mr. Luxurious, Nick Papageorgio from Arizona, John Tice, and Ryan McFadin. And of course the Maniacs, the crazy people who support the channels at $100 a month. People like Peter Straub, our good friend, Bob Magee, stolid and dependable, and rising from the ashes, Ashes of the Phoenix. Thank you all so much. Thank you all so much for your support and for watching. Thank you, Chad, so much for that amazing box of goodies. Please, everyone check out, I don't have it with me, but the the video about the Baracuta G9 Harrington jacket coming up this Wednesday. Follow Kevin's journey of discovery on Elden Ring on Stuff and Things Plays every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But until next time, until we meet again, I've been your good friend Bradley. You've been the audience. This has been Stuff and Things. Whew, I'll see you later. Hot, 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 hot. Hot, 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 hot.